Imagine, just for a moment, that the key to living a meaningful and fulfilled life isn't something you need to chase. It isn't found in your bank account, your job title, or the approval of others. It's not something you can buy, earn, or be given. Instead, it's something that has always been within you, waiting to be acknowledged, strengthened, and fully embraced. This isn't just a comforting idea, it's a foundational truth found in Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided some of history's greatest minds, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, through both prosperity and hardship. The Stoics teach us that true self-worth isn't dependent on external validation or fleeting successes, but on something far deeper, the mastery of our own character and virtues. The 4 Stoic virtues that define your worth. According to Stoicism, there are 4 key virtues that shape a strong and resilient sense of self-worth. Wisdom, the ability to see things clearly, to seek truth, and to act with discernment. Courage, the strength to face adversity, take risks, and stand firm in our values. Justice, the commitment to fairness, integrity, and doing what is right. Temperance, the discipline to control our desires and impulses, ensuring balance in life. By cultivating these virtues, you create an unshakable foundation for your well-being and happiness, one that remains intact despite the inevitable chaos of the external world. Unlike material success, which can be lost or taken away, the values you build within yourself stay with you, guiding you through both triumph and adversity. The problem: you're undervaluing yourself without realizing it. Yet, many of us unknowingly undervalue ourselves, allowing doubt, fear, and external expectations to dictate our worth. We settle for less than we deserve, we downplay our own achievements, and we prioritize others at the cost of our own well-being. The result: a diminished sense of self-worth and a life that feels disconnected from our true potential. But here's the truth: you are worthy, not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you are and the values you choose to live by. The only thing standing between you and the full recognition of your own worth is awareness, the ability to see yourself clearly without distortion or self-doubt. Why you need to watch this video until the end. This video isn't just another guide on self-improvement. It's an invitation, an opportunity to reclaim your self-worth through the lens of Stoicism. We'll be breaking down 13 signs that you might be undervaluing yourself without realizing it, and more importantly, we'll explore how Stoic wisdom can help you take back your power and start living with confidence and clarity. Here's my challenge to you. Watch this video until the end, because recognizing your worth isn't just a passive realization, it's an action, a choice, and a responsibility. Now, I need your help. If you're here, if you've chosen to press play, then you're already different from the majority. Prove it. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and if you find value in this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let's help more people recognize their worth and build an unshakable mindset together. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Now, let's begin. Sign number 1, you stay in situations that drain. Have you ever felt trapped in a situation that constantly drains your energy and dims your potential? Maybe it's a job that no longer challenges you, a relationship that makes you question your worth, or a dream you've shelved because the risks seem too great. Whatever the case, we've all, at some point, settled for less than we deserve. But why? Why do we stay in situations that exhaust us emotionally, mentally, or even physically? The answer often comes down to fear and comfort, two forces that, while seemingly different, work together to keep us stuck. We fear the unknown, the uncertainty of what lies beyond the familiarity of our current circumstances. We become comfortable with the routine, even if it's a painful one, because change requires effort, risk, and most importantly, self-belief. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Our worth is not defined by our external conditions, but by how we respond to them. The Stoic perspective: you always have a choice. One of the core tenets of Stoicism is the understanding that while we don't always have control over our circumstances, we always have control over our perceptions, decisions, and actions. Epictetus put it best when he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that staying stuck is a choice, often one we don't realize we're making. If your job, relationship, or current life situation isn't aligning with your values, then every day you remain in it without making a change is a day you're undervaluing yourself. Think about it. When we settle for less than we deserve, we are essentially telling ourselves that we are not worthy of something better. We accept toxic environments, unfulfilling routines, or stagnant relationships, believing that this is just how life is. But is it? Or is it simply what we have convinced ourselves to accept? The cost of staying where you don't belong. The longer you remain in a situation that drains you, the more it erodes your sense of self-worth. It teaches you to tolerate dissatisfaction. It convinces you that your needs, dreams, and happiness aren't priorities. Over time, this can lead to a loss of confidence in your ability to make changes, a deep sense of frustration and resentment toward yourself or others, a life that feels stagnant, uninspired, and disconnected from who you truly are. If you find yourself making excuses, telling yourself that it's not the right time or that things will get better eventually, ask yourself this: would my past self, the one who had dreams and ambitions, be proud of the choices I'm making today? Your challenge: is this situation aligning with your values? Here's a powerful Stoic exercise for you to reflect on. Write down your core values. What truly matters to you? Integrity, growth, freedom, respect. Compare them to your current situation. Is your job, relationship, or lifestyle supporting these values, or is it forcing you to compromise on them? Make a decision. If something is not in alignment, what small action can you take today to start changing it? Remember, recognizing your worth isn't about arrogance, it's about self-respect. The moment you acknowledge that you deserve better, you reclaim your power. The question is, will you act on it? Sign number 2, you downplay your achievements. Have you ever accomplished something meaningful only to shrug it off as luck or insist that anyone else could have done it? Maybe you landed a great job after months of effort, but instead of celebrating, you think, "I just got lucky." Or you worked hard to reach a fitness goal, yet you tell yourself, "It wasn't that big of a deal." This pattern of downplaying achievements is more common than we realize. Instead of recognizing our hard work, resilience, and personal growth, we often dismiss our own contributions, whether out of modesty, self-doubt, or a fear of appearing arrogant. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Our achievements are not accidents. They are reflections of the virtues we cultivate. The Stoic perspective: success is built on virtue, not luck. The Stoics believed that excellence comes from within, not from external circumstances. Seneca once said, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." This means that what others might call luck is often the result of wisdom, courage, discipline, and perseverance, the very virtues that define a strong character. Think about your last major success. Maybe it was a personal breakthrough, a professional achievement, or overcoming a difficult situation. Did luck play a role? Or was it your own effort, strategy, and persistence that got you there? If you took a risk, that was courage. If you navigated obstacles, that was wisdom. If you stayed consistent despite setbacks, that was discipline. If you treated others with fairness and integrity, that was justice. These virtues aren't random. They are choices. Choices that shape who we become and what we accomplish. Why do we downplay our achievements? There are many reasons we dismiss our own success. Fear of arrogance. Society often teaches us that acknowledging our achievements is bragging, but humility isn't about denial, it's about honesty. Imposter syndrome. The feeling that we don't truly deserve our success, despite evidence of our competence. Comparison culture. In a world where we see others highlight reels on social media, our own successes can feel insignificant. Conditioning from the past. Maybe you grew up in an environment where achievements weren't celebrated or where you were taught to downplay success. But ignoring your efforts doesn't make you more humble. It makes you undervalue yourself. True humility isn't pretending you didn't work hard. It's recognizing your achievements while staying grounded. The cost of not recognizing your efforts. When you constantly downplay what you've accomplished, you reinforce self-doubt, making it harder to take on bigger challenges. Miss opportunities for growth because you don't see yourself as capable. Diminish your motivation, since your hard work never feels like it's enough. Imagine if Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic leaders, had dismissed his achievements thinking, "I'm only emperor because of luck." Would he have led with wisdom and confidence? Would he have left behind the powerful meditations that continue to inspire us today? Your challenge: reflect on an achievement and identify the virtue behind it. I want you to take a moment and think about one recent achievement, no matter how small. Maybe you completed a difficult project, stayed disciplined with a personal goal, or stood up for yourself in a tough situation. Now, ask yourself, what virtues did I practice to accomplish this? Would I recognize these virtues in someone else if they achieved the same thing? How can I continue to build on this success? Once you do this, you'll start to see your achievements not as luck, but as proof of your character and effort. Final thought: own your success with Stoic balance. This isn't about ego or arrogance. It's about acknowledging the truth. You are not here by accident. Your successes, big or small, are a result of your discipline, your wisdom, and your ability to persist when things get difficult. Recognizing your efforts isn't about seeking external praise. It's about being fair to yourself. The next time you achieve something, instead of brushing it off, try this simple shift. Say, "I worked hard for this," instead of, "I just got lucky." Your achievements are proof of your worth, so start owning them. Sign 3. You always put others first at your own expense. Being generous, selfless, and caring for others is often seen as a noble trait. Society praises those who sacrifice their time, energy, and well-being for the sake of family, friends, and even co-workers. But at what cost? There's a fine line between helping others and neglecting yourself. When you constantly put others' needs before your own, you run the risk of burnout, frustration, and even resentment. You may start to feel exhausted, underappreciated, or lost in the process. The people around you might not even realize the toll it's taking on you because you never set boundaries or express your needs. Stoicism teaches that true generosity does not come from depletion, but from a place of strength. You cannot give your best to others if you are running on empty. The Stoic principle of self-mastery reminds us that taking care of ourselves is not selfish, it is a responsibility. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig." Just like a plant needs proper care to grow and bear fruit, you must nurture yourself before you can effectively support others. When you fail to care for yourself, you diminish your ability to give in a meaningful way. Think about it. When you are well-rested, mentally strong, and emotionally balanced, how much more patience, kindness, and support can you offer the people in your life? When you are physically drained, mentally exhausted, or emotionally overwhelmed, how much of your best self is left to give? Self-sacrifice without balance can have long-term consequences. Over time, you might begin to feel invisible, unappreciated, or even taken advantage of. You might find yourself resenting the very people you wanted to help. Worse, you may reach a point where you no longer have the energy or motivation to take care of yourself at all. Stoicism offers a practical approach. Set boundaries and recognize that self-care is not indulgence, but necessity. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest Stoic leaders, understood the importance of personal well-being. He often reflected on the need for mental clarity, solitude, and personal growth, even while leading an empire. Taking time for yourself isn't about withdrawing from others, it's about making sure you can show up fully with strength and wisdom. The next time you feel guilty about prioritizing yourself, remember this Stoic perspective. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Your challenge for this week is to identify one way to prioritize yourself. It doesn't have to be something dramatic. It could be as simple as saying no to something that drains you, taking an hour for yourself each day, or setting clearer boundaries with those around you. Think about what truly nourishes you, mentally, emotionally, or physically, and commit to making it a priority. Because when you take care of yourself, you don't just benefit, you become a better, stronger, and more effective presence for those who need you. Sign 4. You struggle to accept compliments. Have you ever received a compliment and immediately dismissed it? Maybe someone praised your hard work and you responded with, "Oh, it was nothing." Or a friend admired your skills and you replied, "I just got lucky." Instead of accepting the kind words, you felt uncomfortable, brushed them off, or even redirected the conversation. This reaction is more common than you think. Many people instinctively deflect praise due to insecurity, modesty, or societal conditioning. Somewhere along the way, we were taught that acknowledging our strengths might make us seem arrogant, so we downplay them instead. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Humility is not about denying your strengths. It is about recognizing them truthfully, without ego or exaggeration. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This applies to how we see ourselves. If we constantly reject the strengths that others see in us, we close ourselves off to self-awareness, growth, and confidence. Why do we struggle to accept compliments? Some fear that embracing praise will make them overconfident or complacent. Others have internalized negative self-talk, believing they don't deserve recognition. In many cultures, false modesty is encouraged, making people feel guilty for accepting positive feedback. But Stoicism reminds us that self-awareness is key to a virtuous life. And part of that is being able to see ourselves clearly, both our strengths and weaknesses. Imagine a Stoic leader like Marcus Aurelius receiving a compliment on his wisdom. Would he dismiss it as luck? Number. He would recognize that his wisdom came from years of study, self-discipline, and reflection. Accepting a compliment doesn't mean inflating your ego. It simply means acknowledging reality. When you deflect praise, you are not just rejecting the compliment, you are rejecting the truth of your own growth and effort. If someone sees something admirable in you, why argue with them? Why deny the hard work you have put in? Here's your Stoic challenge. The next time someone compliments you, resist the urge to deflect. Instead, simply say, "Thank you." Then, take a moment to reflect on the truth behind their words. What did you do to deserve that praise? What virtue, wisdom, courage, discipline, or integrity was reflected in your actions? Learning to accept compliments with grace doesn't just build confidence. It reinforces the reality that you have value, and that value is worth recognizing. Sign 5. You fear making decisions. Have you ever found yourself stuck in endless deliberation, unable to make a choice because you're afraid of picking the wrong option? Maybe you hesitate to apply for a new job because you're unsure if it's the right move, or you delay ending an unhealthy relationship because you don't know if you'll regret it. This fear of making decisions can leave you feeling paralyzed, trapped in a cycle of overthinking and self-doubt. Indecision is exhausting. The longer we delay making a choice, the more power we give to fear, uncertainty, and hesitation. Instead of moving forward, we get caught in a mental loop, analyzing every possible outcome, worrying about what might go wrong. But Stoicism offers a powerful solution. There is no such thing as failure, only lessons. Every decision, whether it leads to success or an unexpected challenge, is an opportunity for growth. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, wrote in his Meditations, "Do not be ashamed of making mistakes, provided you are learning from them." The Stoics believed that mistakes and failures are not personal defeats. They are part of the natural process of growth. The true mistake is inaction, allowing fear to keep you from making any decision at all. Many people hesitate to make decisions because they want certainty. They want to know for sure that they are choosing the right path. But Stoicism teaches us that certainty is an illusion. The only thing we can control is the wisdom and integrity behind our choices. So how do we make decisions with confidence, instead of asking, "What if this goes wrong?" Shift your mindset to, "Does this decision align with my values?" Stoicism emphasizes virtue-driven decision-making. When faced with a tough choice, ask yourself, is this choice in alignment with who I want to be? Am I acting with courage, wisdom, and integrity? If I fail, what lesson can I take from it? By making decisions based on principles rather than fear, you reclaim control over your life. You stop hesitating and start moving forward with purpose. Here's your Stoic challenge. Before making your next big decision, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my values? If the answer is yes, then move forward without fear. If the answer is no, then you have your answer. The goal is not to make perfect decisions, it's to make honest, value-driven choices and trust that you will grow no matter the outcome. Sign 6. You obsess over your flaws and failures. How often do you replay past mistakes in your mind, criticizing yourself for what you should have done differently? Maybe you made an embarrassing error at work, said something awkward in a conversation, or failed to meet your own expectations. Instead of moving forward, you find yourself stuck in a loop of self-criticism, allowing these moments to define your self-worth. Self-reflection is valuable, but when it turns into constant self-criticism and regret, it becomes destructive. When you focus excessively on your flaws, imperfections, and past failures, you end up reinforcing a negative self-image. You convince yourself that your mistakes make you unworthy, incapable, or fundamentally flawed. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Perfection is an illusion. What truly matters is progress. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." The message is clear. Stop over-analyzing your flaws and focus on improving yourself through action. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Every mistake is an opportunity to grow, to adjust, and to move forward with greater wisdom. The Stoic perspective is not about ignoring failures, but about seeing them as teachers rather than enemies. A mistake does not define you. How you respond to that mistake does. If you let failures paralyze you with doubt, you will never progress. But if you use them as lessons, they become stepping stones toward becoming a stronger, wiser person. Many of us hold ourselves to impossible standards, expecting flawlessness in our work, relationships, and personal growth. But no great leader, thinker, or philosopher ever achieved success without failures, setbacks, and imperfections. The greatest minds in history made mistakes, but they used them as fuel for progress instead of reasons for self-doubt. When you obsess over your flaws, you waste mental energy on what cannot be changed, instead of focusing on the actions that will make you better. The Stoic way is to accept imperfection, learn from failure, and move forward with purpose. Here's your Stoic challenge. Shift your focus from flaws to lessons. The next time you catch yourself dwelling on a mistake, stop and ask, what can I learn from this? Write it down if you have to. Recognize the lesson, then let go of the unnecessary self-blame. Growth is not about being perfect. It's about being better than you were yesterday. The past is unchangeable, but your response to it is entirely in your control. Sign 7. You constantly compare yourself to others. Have you ever scrolled through social media, seeing someone else's success, happiness, or seemingly perfect life, and suddenly felt like you weren't enough? Maybe it's a friend landing a dream job, a stranger showing off their luxurious lifestyle, or even a coworker excelling in ways you wish you could. In an instant, your own achievements, progress, and self-worth feel insignificant in comparison. This is the trap of comparison culture, and in today's world, it's easier than ever to fall into. Social media constantly bombards us with curated highlights of other people's lives, leading us to believe that their success is the full picture. We compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel, forgetting that what we see online is often filtered, edited, and incomplete. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Comparison is a distraction from our own progress, virtues, and growth. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, said, "How long will you wait before you demand the best of yourself?" The focus of Stoicism is not on how you measure up to others, but on how you measure up to yourself. The only true competition in life is between who you were yesterday and who you are today. When you compare yourself to others, you give away control of your emotions. You allow external factors, other people's achievements, appearances, or lifestyles, to dictate your sense of worth. But you cannot control what others do or achieve. The only thing within your power is your own effort, mindset, and discipline. Comparison also creates a false sense of inadequacy. Just because someone else is successful doesn't mean you are failing. Just because someone else is ahead in one area of life doesn't mean your journey is any less meaningful. The Stoics teach us to live according to our own nature, to embrace our own path rather than measuring it against someone else's timeline. So how do we break free from comparison? The answer lies in gratitude and self-reflection. Instead of looking at what others have that you don't, shift your focus to what you already have, what you've already accomplished, and how much you've grown. Here's your Stoic challenge. The next time you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's, pause and redirect your focus to gratitude. Ask yourself, what have I achieved that I once thought was impossible? What strengths and virtues do I possess that make me unique? How have I grown in the past year, month, or even week? By shifting from comparison to gratitude, you reclaim your sense of worth. Your journey is yours alone, and no one else's success can take away from the value of your own path. Focus on your progress, not someone else's timeline. Sign 8. You neglect investing in yourself. How often do you put off things that would help you grow? Maybe you tell yourself you'll start reading more books next month, take that course when you have more time, or prioritize your health when things settle down. Yet, as days turn into weeks and weeks into months, self-improvement takes a back seat to the demands of daily life. This is a dangerous habit because when you neglect investing in yourself, you send a subtle message to your own mind: I am not a priority. You begin to treat your personal growth as something optional rather than essential. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Self-investment is self-respect. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, compared life to a garden. If neglected, it withers. If properly cared for, it flourishes. The same principle applies to personal development. When you invest in yourself, whether it's through education, physical well-being, or mental growth, you are nurturing the foundation of a meaningful and resilient life. One of the biggest excuses people make for not investing in themselves is time. They believe they are too busy handling responsibilities, work, or family obligations. But the truth is, time is not something you find, it's something you make. If something is important to you, you prioritize it. The question isn't whether you have time for self-improvement, but whether you believe you are worth making time for. Neglecting self-investment can have long-term consequences. Over time, you may feel stagnant, unmotivated, or disconnected from your potential. Without continuous learning and growth, you become stuck in the same patterns, never reaching the level of fulfillment you are capable of. Stoicism encourages lifelong learning and self-examination. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, constantly reminded himself to reflect, grow, and seek wisdom. He knew that without consistent self-improvement, even an emperor could become complacent and ineffective. So, how do you begin investing in yourself? The key is small, consistent actions. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. What matters is that you commit to the process. Here's your Stoic challenge. Commit to one small act of self-investment this week. It could be reading a book that expands your mind, taking an online course to improve a skill, prioritizing exercise or healthy eating, setting aside quiet time for reflection and meditation. Whatever it is, do it intentionally and remind yourself that this act is not just about self-improvement, it's about self-respect. Your growth is your responsibility, and the sooner you start nurturing yourself, the sooner you will see the rewards. You are your greatest asset, so start treating yourself like one. Sign 9. You seek external validation. Have you ever caught yourself waiting for someone else's approval before feeling good about your choices? Maybe you hesitate to take action until you hear validation from a friend, a boss, or even strangers online. Perhaps you post something on social media and feel disappointed if it doesn't get enough likes. This constant need for external validation can be exhausting because it places your self-worth in the hands of others. Instead of trusting yourself, you become dependent on feedback, compliments, and approval to feel good enough. But the truth is, no amount of external validation will ever be enough if you don't believe in your own worth first. Stoicism teaches us that true fulfillment comes from living in alignment with our values, not from the opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most powerful Stoic philosophers, wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. This reveals a contradiction. Why do we allow external opinions to dictate how we feel about ourselves when we are the ones living our own lives? When you constantly seek approval, you give others control over your emotions. You become reactive instead of intentional, shaping your actions around what you think will be accepted, rather than what aligns with your deepest values. This is dangerous because public opinion is inconsistent and uncontrollable. What is praised today might be criticized tomorrow. If your confidence depends on external recognition, it will always be fragile. Stoicism challenges us to develop inner validation by focusing on what is within our control: our thoughts, actions, and commitment to virtue. When you make decisions based on wisdom, courage, and integrity, your self-worth becomes unshakable. You no longer need permission to feel confident because your confidence is built on something solid, your own principles. So how do you break free from the habit of seeking external validation? Start by shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, "What will others think?" ask, "Does this align with who I want to be?" Here's your Stoic challenge. The next time you catch yourself seeking validation, pause and ask, "Am I doing this for me or for approval?" If the answer is approval, take a step back and reconsider. Your worth is not measured by applause, but by the integrity of your actions. You don't need permission to be worthy. You already are. Live in alignment with your values, and that will be all the validation you need. Sign 10. You stay in negative environments. Have you ever found yourself surrounded by negativity, whether in a toxic workplace, an unhealthy relationship, or a social circle that drains you rather than uplifts you? Maybe you constantly feel undervalued at work, yet stay because leaving seems too difficult. Or perhaps you tolerate friendships or relationships that make you feel small simply because you fear the discomfort of change. Over time, staying in these negative environments can slowly erode your self-worth. When you are surrounded by people or situations that make you feel unappreciated, disrespected, or drained, you begin to believe that you don't deserve better. But here's the truth. You always have the power to choose, whether it's your perception or your environment. Stoicism teaches us that while we may not control everything that happens to us, we always control how we respond. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." This means that if you focus only on the negative aspects of your situation without considering your ability to change it, you will feel powerless. But the moment you recognize that you do have a choice, everything shifts. There are two ways to handle a negative environment: change it or change how you engage with it. If a workplace is toxic, is it possible to find a new job or shift roles? If not immediately, can you create an exit plan? If a relationship is draining, have you clearly communicated your boundaries and needs? If they are continuously ignored, is it time to step away? If a social circle is filled with negativity, do you have the power to limit your exposure and surround yourself with more uplifting people? Often people stay in toxic environments because they underestimate their capacity for change. Fear convinces them that leaving will be harder than staying, but the longer you remain in an unhealthy space, the more it reinforces the belief that you are trapped, when in reality, you are not. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, led armies and ruled over vast territories, yet he emphasized the power of internal strength over external circumstances. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You don't always have to leave an environment immediately, but you do need to start setting boundaries and creating a plan. If something in your life is harming your sense of peace, you owe it to yourself to take action. Your Stoic challenge. Identify one toxic influence in your life. Take a moment to reflect. What is one negative influence in your life that is draining your energy or making you feel less valuable? Write it down. Then, create a simple action plan, whether it's setting a firm boundary, limiting your time in that environment, or working toward a long-term exit strategy. Stoicism is about resilience, but resilience doesn't mean enduring suffering unnecessarily. It means recognizing your power, setting limits, and ensuring that the environments you choose to engage with are ones that align with your growth and self-respect. You don't have to stay where you are not valued. You always have a choice. The question is, will you make it? Sign 11. You let fear hold you back. How many times have you wanted to pursue something, a new opportunity, a goal, a passion, only to hesitate because of fear? Fear of failure, rejection, or judgment can be one of the biggest barriers to progress. You might tell yourself, what if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I'm not good enough? These doubts create hesitation, and before you know it, days, months, or even years pass without you taking action. Fear has a way of magnifying the risks and minimizing the rewards. It convinces you that stepping outside your comfort zone is too dangerous, too unpredictable, or simply not worth the effort. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Fear is only powerful if you let it stop you. The Stoic principle of amor fati, love your fate, offers a different perspective. Instead of resisting fear, Stoicism encourages us to embrace all experiences, including challenges, setbacks, and even failures, as essential parts of our journey. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." In other words, every difficulty, failure, or rejection is fuel for growth. What if, instead of avoiding fear, you faced it directly? What if, rather than seeing failure as something to be ashamed of, you viewed it as an opportunity to learn? The truth is that failure is rarely as catastrophic as we imagine. The only true failure is never trying at all. One of the best Stoic exercises for overcoming fear is negative visualization. This involves visualizing the worst-case scenario, not to dwell on it, but to see that even if the worst happens, you will survive and adapt. For example, if you fail at a new project, will your life be over? Or will you gain valuable experience? If someone rejects you, does that mean you are unworthy? Or does it simply mean that person or opportunity wasn't the right fit? If you make a mistake, does that define you? Or does it make you wiser for the next attempt? By accepting that setbacks and failures are natural, you take away fear's power. You stop seeing obstacles as stop signs and start seeing them as stepping stones. Your Stoic challenge: take one small action toward your dream. Think of something you've been putting off because of fear. Now take a moment to visualize the worst-case scenario and accept it. Then, commit to taking one small action today. It doesn't have to be a big leap. It could be researching your next step, reaching out to someone for advice, or simply writing down a concrete plan. Fear only controls you if you allow it to. The moment you take action, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your doubts. Life is not about avoiding failure. It's about learning, adapting, and moving forward with courage. You have the power to act. Will you use it? Sign 12. You believe you don't deserve happiness. Have you ever felt like happiness, success, or fulfillment is something reserved for other people, but not for you? Maybe you've achieved something meaningful, yet instead of celebrating, you think, "Do I really deserve this?" Or perhaps you feel like no matter what you do, happiness is always just out of reach. Many people struggle with feeling unworthy of happiness. This can come from past failures, childhood conditioning, or even societal expectations that tell us we need to earn happiness by achieving more, being more, doing more. But here's what Stoicism teaches us. Happiness isn't something you earn, it's something you choose. The Stoics believed that happiness, or eudaimonia, comes not from wealth, status, or external validation, but from living in alignment with virtue. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. When you embody these, you are already living a life worthy of happiness. Seneca once said, "Man is affected not by events, but by the view he takes of them." In other words, it's not external achievements that determine happiness. It's how you perceive your life and your choices. If you constantly tell yourself you don't deserve happiness, you will unknowingly sabotage yourself. You might push away good opportunities, downplay your success, or create unnecessary struggles. Why do people feel undeserving of happiness? Sometimes it's guilt. Maybe you believe you haven't worked hard enough or suffered enough to deserve joy. Other times it's a fear of losing happiness. If I allow myself to be happy, what if it all disappears? This mindset keeps people trapped in a cycle of self-denial, always waiting for some imaginary moment where they'll finally be worthy. But the truth is, happiness isn't a reward, it's a mindset. It's not something that will magically appear once you check off a list of accomplishments. It is a daily practice, a way of viewing life with gratitude, purpose, and acceptance. How to shift your perspective. The power of gratitude. One of the simplest but most powerful ways to change your mindset is through gratitude. Gratitude trains your mind to focus on what is good and valuable in your life rather than what is missing. The Stoics regularly practiced this by reflecting on what they had and appreciating even the simplest of things. Here's your Stoic challenge. Practice gratitude daily. Every morning or before bed, take a moment to write down or mentally list 3 things you are grateful for. They don't have to be big. Sometimes the smallest things bring the most joy. A warm cup of coffee, a meaningful conversation, the ability to learn and grow. Over time, this practice will shift your perspective. You will begin to see that happiness isn't something you need to deserve. It's something you create in the way you think, act, and live. You are already enough. The only question is, will you allow yourself to believe it? Sign 13. You don't recognize your own worth. How do you measure your worth? Is it by the job you have, the money you make, or the approval you receive from others? Many people tie their self-worth to external factors, career success, relationships, or social status, believing that they are only as valuable as their latest achievement. But Stoicism teaches us something different. Your worth is not determined by what you accomplish, what others think of you, or what you own. Your worth is innate. It comes from your character, your virtues, and the way you live your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This reminds us that our value is not about how the world perceives us, but about how we show up in our own lives. Are we acting with integrity, wisdom, courage, and justice? Are we staying true to our values? These are the true markers of worth. If you rely on external validation to feel valuable, you will always feel unstable. Success comes and goes. Opinions change. Even material wealth is never truly secure. But the one thing you always have control over is your own character. That is where true self-worth is built. Many people don't recognize their own worth because they focus too much on what they lack, rather than on the values they already live by. They believe that if they just achieve more, earn more, or gain more approval, then they will finally feel worthy. But this is an illusion. If you don't see your worth now, you won't see it even after reaching your goals, because self-worth doesn't come from achievements, it comes from within. How to reclaim your sense of worth? The best way to recognize your own worth is to reflect on your core values. What principles guide your decisions? What kind of person do you strive to be? If your actions align with your values, then you are already worthy, regardless of what the outside world says. Here's your Stoic challenge. Take a moment to reflect on your core values. Write down 3 virtues that matter most to you, and ask yourself, how do these shape my self-worth? For example, if you value honesty, recognize that your integrity is worth more than any external validation. If you value kindness, understand that your ability to positively impact others gives your life meaning. If you value courage, know that every time you push through fear, you prove your strength. Your worth is not something you need to earn, it's something you need to realize. When you stop seeking it in external things and start seeing it in your own values and actions, you will understand that you have been worthy all along. Conclusion: reclaim your value. Throughout this journey, we've explored the many ways people unknowingly undervalue themselves, from staying in toxic environments to seeking external validation, fearing failure, and neglecting self-investment. But here's the truth. Your worth has never been dependent on external factors. It is not measured by accolades, opinions, or wealth. It is determined by how you live, how you think, and how you respond to life's challenges. Stoicism teaches us that self-worth is a choice. You can choose to define yourself by your values, your growth, and your character, or you can let the world dictate how you see yourself. The choice is always yours. Every great philosopher, leader, and thinker who embraced Stoicism understood this. Self-worth isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about living in alignment with your virtues. It's about standing firm in your values even when no one is watching. It's about knowing that no external success or failure can change who you truly are inside. But understanding this is not enough. You have to act on it. Your final challenge: choose one area to improve today. Take a moment to reflect. Out of the 13 signs we discussed, which one resonated with you the most? Is it your tendency to downplay achievements, your fear of making decisions, your habit of seeking validation? Choose one area to improve starting today. This doesn't mean you have to change everything overnight. Small, intentional steps lead to profound transformation. Help others recognize their worth. If this message resonated with you, chances are it will help someone else too. Like and share this video so that more people can break free from self-doubt and start recognizing their own value. And if you're ready to take your Stoic practice even deeper, watch the next video on the screen. It's designed to help you strengthen your mindset, reclaim your confidence, and truly live by Stoic principles. You are already worthy. Now, it's time to start living like it.